Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another Artifact Remix draft. Without further ado, let's get into the Pack 1, Pick 1, the very sweet, very versatile Mightstone and Weakstone. This is a 5 mana card, completely colorless, so it fits into any deck, and it's going to be a draw 2, or it's going to be a removal spell with that -5/-5, and in this format with so many artifact spells, that ability to tap for some artifacts or some abilities is very relevant as well. So really sweet card, fits into our deck no matter what. A super flexible way to start the draft. All right, back one, pick two. There are not a ton of cards that synergize particularly well with Metalwork Colossus. You need to have a lot of non-creature artifacts in your deck, and there's not a ton that are super playable, but the Mightstone and Weakstone is one. The other one is any of the equipment spells that come with creatures, like living weapon spells and 4 Mirrodin spells. So you can draft around this card to make it cheap enough to be maybe a 5 mana or 6 mana 10/10, in which case it can be pretty fun, especially considering if you have expendable artifacts later in the game, you can just keep bringing it back to your hand. So we'll go for it here, I think. Try to get the Metalwork Colossus to work out. Whirler Rogue, I think, is probably the safest pick, the strongest card at face value no matter what, but let's try to go pretty wild with this one as we get later into the format. Let's draft some pretty specific, pretty narrow stuff and see how we can get it to work. For pick 3 now, there's nothing that synergizes well with the Metalwork Colossus, since the prototype is a 1 mana non-creature artifact. Doesn't reduce it much. It's honestly nothing even that good here. I think the best card's probably Vengeful Rebel. Need to have one of your permanents leave the battlefield this turn, but if you do, then it is a 3/2 and a removal spell all in one, so really nice value there. It's not too hard to trigger it. There are cards like Renegade Map, there are clue tokens, there are treasure tokens. Those also count for the Rebels Revolt trigger, so pretty solid stuff. All right, pick 4. Once again, nothing that synergizes particularly well with Colossus. Bone Splitter's fine. It's going to reduce it by 1. This is a generally good card, so we could just take that. Yeah, Renegade Map for fixing, Bone Splitter for just a solid equipment that fits into almost anything. Yeah, not a super wild pack. I'll just take Bone Splitter. Pick 5, Captain Storm is definitely the scariest card here, and since we're almost completely colorless right now, we could push to blue-red artifacts. Well, every deck is artifacts, but blue-red pirates and artifacts. Alternatively, Oaken Siren is the more flexible card here, being incredible in any blue deck, instead of having to be specifically blue-red. We could still be blue-black playing the Vengeful Rebel and the Oaken Siren in the same deck. Volshock Splitter actually does work well with Metalwork Colossus, a 4 mana artifact to have on board, reduce the cost. But these cards are just so much stronger, I'm going to take one of them. I'm going to go for the Captain Storm here. I'm going to take that as a solid sign that we can push blue-red. Although pick 6, Hard Evidence is the good blue card. Goldborn Sum is not that good generally, but it is good with Metalwork Colossus. I think I still take Hard Evidence. This is awkward. Being in blue-red instead of red-white means that if we want equipment that come with creatures, we have to take them all out of red. Both red and white have some of them, and there's a colorless one. So if we're lucky, we can find the colorless one and some of the red for Mirrodin cards. But I'm not a big fan of the more expensive ones, like the 4 mana one. The 5 mana rare is good. Dragonwing Glider's a 5 mana equipment. Gives +2/+2 flying and haste, and it comes with a 2/2 attached to it, so it's a 5 mana 4/4 flying haste that reduces your Metalwork Colossus' mana cost by 5. And if you live the dream and you reduce this to like 0 and then you give it haste, that'd be insane. You can throw a Dragonwing Glider onto the Metalwork Colossus. Could be some of the spiciest stuff. This pack is pretty poopy. Guy's Gift, I think, is the best card by quite a bit. Very solid, very flexible combat trick. But we just take fixing or mana ramp. Just take the ramp. We are playing an 11 mana creature. Although again, I really feel like this is only going to be useful for the Metalwork Colossus, so it still ends up getting cut most of the time. But so does everything else in the pack. Pick 8. If you have a really specific card you're trying to dig to out of your deck, then Reality Heist can be good. You need a really high artifact count for it though, but I think we will. It's going to be a really fun one. Brute Suit, Volshock Splitter, decent cards to reduce the cost of Metalwork Colossus, but by themselves they're pretty bad. So they're only going to be good in hands that have Metalwork Colossus in them. I'm going to grab the Reality Heist and dig for Metalwork Colossus. It's still a synergy piece, see? Renegade Map's fine, Volshock Splitter's fine just because we have Colossus, and Waylaying Pirates is fine because we got Captain Storm. At this point, I will take the more mediocre card just because it works well with Colossus. We're trying to get that going. Alright, pick 10. And let's take the on-color doofus. Actually, red-black duel was probably better there. Maybe splash in the rebel or splash in the red. Okay, none of this is very good. We'll take the prototype. Alright, some garbage in the last couple picks as we move into pack 2. Pick number 1. We have no Metalwork Colossus synergies here. Our only really good blue card is Captain Storm, so seeing some really solid white stuff, specifically Danitha, which works incredibly with equipment, does mean we could push in that direction. Alternatively, we do already have one Vengeful Rebel, so taking a Candy Grapple towards black might be okay too. But again, do you think white has some of the most playable high mana value non-creature artifacts? Just the big equipment that come with creatures, so I'm going to speculate in that direction off of the Danitha here. Alright, well this can keep us blue-red. None of the white cards work super well. The Welding Sparks is great removal in red, so I think red is probably the most likely color right now, but Tamiyo's Immobilizer is actually a really good non-creature artifact, so that works really well with Colossus. Kind of what we want here. Take the Immobilizer, stick to the blue-red now. Ooh, Goblin Engineer? That is a fun one. We can put any artifact into our graveyard when this enters the battlefield. So the sweetest thing to do with this generally is to put an unearth artifact in your grave. So you can unearth that artifact and then sack that to permanently get something with mana value 3 or less back. But our deck can also grab the Metalwork Colossus because we can just sack 2 artifacts and put the Metalwork Colossus in our hand. So Goblin Engineer, a very fun, very powerful option here. Definitely want to find some unearth cards to go with this, but shouldn't be that hard to do so, and it's still a good card without too many synergies because it's so easy to have a big artifact count. Pick 4. Chromatic Star is actually really good with Goblin Engineer, and it's going to be fine fixing no matter what. Same with Perilous Mirror. It's a fine card no matter what. That's really good when you can sack it on demand, which you can with the Goblin Engineer. Also reanimate it and be really annoying. I like the mirror, I like the star. I feel like the star is probably the kind of card we'll see less often because basically any deck can use it decently. Pick 5. I like Metallic Rebuke a lot. This can just be a ridiculously cheap counterspell. Ashnod's Harvester, we'd have to splash in the fixing, but we do have the Chromatic Star and might get some treasures. Silver Bluff Bridge is good fixing, and it's sacrificable to the Goblin Engineer, so that's a fine pick as well, but we do need a lot more non-creature cards right now. Still pretty early in the draft. I think I'm going to take the Bridge still over the Rebuke, but just barely. Pick 6, another Bridge looks great. Obliterating Bolt looks great too, though. The only removal we have right now is Mightstone and Weakstone. Technically, Immobilizer kind of works like removal. Stun something several turns in a row. But Prototype I wouldn't really count, because I'm pretty sure we'll cut it. I actually think I will Obliterating Bolt over the Silver Bluff Bridge, since I did get one on the last pack at least. Okay, Eye of Malcator. I forgot about this. That's actually a great card for Metalwork Colossus. And it's a solid card in the format. It's basically always going to be a 4/4. It's only good on the aggressive, which is awkward. It's kind of hard to get it to block. You need a lot of instant speed artifacts to do that, but nice aggressive creature that works with Metalwork Colossus seems ideal. Pick 8, Scrapwork Mutt is perfect with Goblin Engineer. That is a slam dunk. Pick 9, Mishra's Research Desk, also perfect with the Goblin Engineer and just a decent value play in general, so I'm happy to take that. The Goblin Tomb Raiders are fine, but I did overvalue them early in the format because I just think it is tremendously important to have as many artifacts as possible in your deck. So just the fact that it's a non-artifact creature, even if it is like a 1-mana 2/2 haste, it's kind of a big downside. The Arcbound Tracker is a little too good to pass up, even for a synergy piece like Perilous Mirror. Don't like either of those two cards we saw because, once again, they're both non-artifact creatures. I'm ready to cast some Metalwork Colossuses. Oh, there we go. There's a 4 mirrored equipment. That's the only blue one as well. So what are the odds? So it's 3 mana for a 2/2 at worst, which isn't very good, but you can clone any creature you control. So if you have a better creature than a 2/2, you clone that and you're really happy. It's actually pretty bad in our deck, come to think of it. This is basically just a 3 mana 2/2, but it's a non-artifact creature. Or sorry, a non-creature artifact for Metalwork Colossus to reduce the cost by 3, so I'm still going to take it. But it's really bad at copying like Arcbound Tracker style creatures, and it just dies. Or Arcbound Slasher, then it just dies. Yeah, Blade, actually, I'm still taking it, but it's probably a 3 mana 2/2 more often than not. Okay, so Sculpting Steel doesn't really count as a non-creature artifact because we're basically always going to copy a creature with that. Eye of Malcator counts, but Staunch Crewmate is just too good of a value play to pass up here. So we take the Staunch Crewmate and we hope to get lucky and get the Eye of Malcator to come back. It's just digs for our best artifact or pirate in our top 4, which is relevant in a deck that has Captain Storm. Pack 3, pick 3. As much as I would love Batterfist for another non-creature artifact to reduce the Metalwork Colossus cost, I think Gearseeker Serpent is too absurd to pass up yet again. Got a lot of artifacts in basically any deck in the format, so it's very easy to be a 4 mana 5/6 or better, and if it's 4 mana or less, then it's busted. Often it can just even be like a 2 mana 5/6, be completely broken. Pick 4. There's nothing I'm a fan of. Pirates is fine. Bridge would be fine, even though it's off color just for affinity on serpents. Map would be fine. Harvester would be fine. Nothing great. I'll just take the Waylaying Pirates. Pick 5. There's a non-creature artifact. It's a pretty good one on Tethered Express. We take those. Cruise for only 1 power. Becomes a gigantic 5/5 Trampler on the attack. And still a 4/4 on blocks. Pick 6. We got Ornithopter Paradise for just regular mana fixing and ramp, or we have Research Desk again for more card draw. I'm going to take the Research Desk. Pick 7. Chrome Prowler here. Yeah, with Eye of Malcator in the deck, Chrome Prowler can be decent. We might have double Eye of Malcator in the end, which is where it gets very decent. Skull Bomb is like a 1 mana reduction on Colossus. I think I'd rather just take another Hard Evidence. More card draw. Even the Scrapwork Cohort would have been fine there. Not really going to play Gremlins or Terrarian. We could maybe main deck Gleeful Demolition in this format. Probably can. Yeah, I'm not going to run Terrarian, so I'll have that Gleeful Demolition option, but I don't think I'll main deck that either. We did get the second Eye of Malcator, which is beautiful. The Perilous Mirror is pretty fine with Goblin Engineer. And we've got a deck here. We get to cut a few cards even. This will be one of our most interesting decks, because it does not seem that powerful. Most of the cards on their lonesome, but any hand where we draw the Metalwork Colossus, we can definitely try to get cheap Metalwork Colossus things going. It's definitely a little rare reliant. It's reliant on a few specific cards. Metalwork Colossus can be a big win condition and makes a lot of our other cards much more viable. Goblin Engineer can be a good win condition, makes a lot of our other cards a lot more viable. And Captain Storm can be a big win condition that makes a lot of our other cards more viable. So we are reliant on drawing like one of those 3 to try to combo off with a particular aspect of the deck, but if we can get any of those things going, we can do some potentially explosive stuff. So, looks like a cool deck. I'm pretty into it. We're going to cut 5 cards here. Just drop these. Drop the fleshy creatures like Whaling Pirates. That leaves only Captain Storm and Goblin Engineer. And Staunch Crewmate. Those are all really good. 2 more cards to cut. I've got Might Stone and Weak Stone, Untethered Express, Splitter, Immobilizer, Blade, Eye of Malcators, and a few 1-mana artifacts. I think we're doing pretty great on Metalwork Reduction. We'd probably cut our weakest of these non-creatures, which is the Splitter. And then one final cut, maybe drop 1 Research Desk. We still have some clues to draw. We've got a Chromatic Star that draws 1. We've got Reality Heist to dig for specific stuff. I think 1 Research Desk should still be fine. Double check our mana base, 11 blue cards, 5 red. We're on a 9-8 split. I don't want to go that lopsided, but we are quite low on red. But yeah, having access to turn 2 Captain Storm is kind of a big deal. Yeah, we can go 9-8 on it. We will call it a deck here. Alright, here's the final deck list for today. We're on a blue-red non-creature artifact pile. We've got a bunch of different synergy-driven rares that we're trying to win the game off of, and without them, we're going to have some awkward curves that maybe don't really do enough. But if we draw into Captain Storm, we have most of the artifacts in the deck, so we can just get a ton of damage in quickly, throw in a bunch of counters on Captain Storm or a crewmate, but mostly just loading up the Captain Storm and slamming face. If we draw into our Goblin Engineer, we can grind out a ton of value over a long game, sacrificing some cheap little artifacts, especially ones with Unearth, like Scrapwork Mutts and Mishra's Research Desk, to permanently bring back some non-unearthing artifacts, like being really annoying, repeatedly looping Perilous Mirrors or Arcbound Trackers and Chrome Prowlers. And if we hit a Metalwork Colossus, then all of these non-creature artifacts reduce its cost by a bunch, and maybe we can slam down a Colossus really early and get a ton of damage in off of that. So that is the deck plan. It's kind of all over the place, but pretty cool, kind of interesting. We'll see how it all plays out for us as we head into the gameplay. All right, here we are for game 1, and off of this opening hand, the Colossus is a 7 mana, 10/10. Do need to hit spells because we are actually not doing anything till turn 4, but if we hit any creature, we're crewing that express on turn 4. And the Research Desk we can crack on turn 2 to find something to do. We're going to do this right now. I could see an argument for the Silver Bluff Bridge first, so if I do find a blue source, or a blue card, I can just play it turn 2. Dang it. God dang it. I knew I should have Silver Bluff Bridged. But yeah, this lets me play the card till the end of my next turn, so probably finding a 3-drop with it anyway. There is one. Aww, 4-drop. Unfortunate Research Desk hit. At least it wasn't 2 4-mana plays, but if I could have a Tamiyo's Immobilizer and an Untethered Express on board, that would have been so insanely good here. Then the Metalwork Colossus would only cost 3 mana. So we'd have 8 mana value of non-creature artifacts. Alright, Mandible Justiciar is going to beat us up, take some names here. This card is just egregiously good in this set. There's way too many artifacts for it. It's a 2-mana 3/2 lifelink at worst, basically. Oftentimes it hits for even more. There it goes, 2-mana 3/2 lifelink once again. Oh, Lord. Take 4, go to 13. Find a crewmate and a Captain Storm. That's 2 blockers at the very least. So if they only play 1 artifact next turn, we can trade into both Justiciars. That's better than playing an Untethered Express that we currently can't crew. Oh, Mightstone and Weakstone into Metalwork Colossus is huge. That's gotta be the pick. That's definitely our plan for the next 2 turns. Mightstone and Weakstone kill their best creature on turn 5, and on turn 6 we cast a Metalwork Colossus and some other stuff, probably. We play Untethered Express, then Colossus costs only 2 mana, so we can just tap the Mightstone and Weakstone to play Colossus. Citizen's Arrest. That only kills one of the blockers. No artifact this turn would mean that the crab stops some damage. Yeah, let's go. Crab stops some damage. Steel Seeker. Eye of Malcator. So they play any artifacts and they get to start surveilling and drawing out of any land clumps if they hit them. I think that's a big enough deal to kill the slightly smaller creature here. Because we're just going to take maybe 3 or 4 damage this turn and chump block the other one. And then we'll have like a 10-10 on board. And we'll be fine. So I think I have time to take the extra damage here to get rid of that thing. No! Can't be blocked by artifact creatures? Genuinely unbeatable for us. No. Okay. I have an Obliterating Bolt, but we need to find it immediately, because if they use this ability twice, it's too big to get Obliterating Bolted. Unfortunately, Reality Heist can only find artifacts. Oh boy. Well, Untethered Express plus Metalwork Colossus and have no blockers for Argothian Sprite it is. I guess I could play all 3 of these, actually. Say I have Malcator makes the Colossus free. But I had to do it in this order. Oh, there's the bolt! There's the Obliterating Bolt! If I did this in the other order, then Eye of Malcator would be a creature and Metalwork Colossus would not get the cost reduction anymore. Yep, I cannot block that. Well, I can. Worth losing the crab? I think it probably is. Stop 4 damage here, stop going to 5. The crab's never going to accrue anything anyway. Alright, and this gets them tapped out to Obliterating Bolt the Sprite. Let's do our 2-mana Reality Heist first and see what we find.
Together, we are unstoppable.
Oh, we got the blade! Oh my god. Okay. And Chrome Prowler with an Eye of Malcator on board is a big deal. We need another blocker at instant speed. Oh my god.
Together, we are unstoppable.
My apologies for all the follows going on right now. I don't know what that's about. Well, that's Magical Christmas Land, right? We actually get blade value. Yeah! Oh my god. This is our first game, too. Oh, let's go. We crew the Express here. Probably better to crew the Express with the Eye of Malcator than it is attack with the Eye of Malcator. So I can get a +1/+1 counter here. 9 life. Think I can send in for 10 when I'm at 9. Just barely, though. Alright, they're back at their starting life total. If they have Ariet's Tempting Apple, we're insanely dead. Let me borrow your 10-10 real quick. No, I would prefer you to not borrow it. No Ariet's Tempting Apple, good. Perilous Mirror, that's perfect for crewing the Express. Also an annoying blocker. Let's research desk stuff, though. See if that changes our plan at all. Two mana Gear Seeker Serpent. Don't mind if I do. Definitely got the good blocks set up. Keep tapping out a Chrome Prowler, which is slightly awkward, but I think it's been worth it these turns. Saw Blades, the Express. Yeah, you got me. Goodbye, freight train. Alright, Chump get a counter on one of their life linkers, that makes sense. They're down to 10 now. They're gonna have to get some life gain here. Because they know we can tap down one of the blockers and send in the whole board. But if they send in for all the life gain, then they don't have blockers up anymore and they still just die. Alright, there's the flip of the Blade Wheel Chariot. So now they have a 5/5 blocker if they crew it for 1. They can also crew it with 2 untapped artifacts, but they don't have any tokens sitting around. So still only 2 blockers. Well, they're going to crew on attacks here. If they can tap both our creatures, we're dead. Oh wait, no, Chariot doesn't have haste. Never mind. Oh, crew for the epic confrontation to kill the serpent. Fair, but they are dead on board. Just send in with everybody. Plus we have the revealed Chrome Prowler. They know we can tap down their blocker. Well, I guess we actually can't, right? Because they just respond by crewing a Chariot. Yeah, it doesn't matter though, it's still lethal. So I play the Prowler, I try to tap the Justiciar, they respond by crewing the Chariot, but then I don't have a life-linking blocker anymore, so I can just send in 2 10/10s and they only block 1. Alright, well that was sweet. As I said, the Blade of Shared Souls was going to be not good on curve, which is what I said during deck building, because we don't have anything good to copy with it on curve, like on turn 3, or anytime early game, but if you top deck it after the Metalwork Colossus, I wasn't accounting for that, then it's really good. So that was a really fun way to start things off. We are 1-0 heading into game 2. All right, game 2, great curve here. This is what we want. And whenever we hit the Metalwork, the Mightstone and Weakstone like single-handedly pretty much gets to cast it. Makes it cost 5 less. What is it, 11 up front? So it's only 6 mana, and then I'll have 5 lands on board and 2 mana for Mightstone and Weakstone. So yeah, this is just a consistent way to know you can always cast the Metalwork Colossus. And maybe Crewmate can draw into it. We shall see. Nope. But an Eye of Malcator means we're on our way towards casting a free Metalwork Colossus in the late game. And that scries towards it as well. Oh, there it is. There's our buddy. Offer the trade here, drop a 4/4. I think we're actually on the aggressive here with Chrome Prowler and Colossus coming up relatively quickly. Of course, the Eye of Malcator beating down for 4 damage a turn. Alright, yeah, fair. Trade's a trade. That is a trade in our favor a little bit since our card drew a card and theirs did not. I do want the mana because we need to have 5 untapped lands, so I think I'll keep both of these. Maybe not Hard Evidence, it's a little late for that. If we play Hard Evidence, we're just cycling it into another card anyway, so let's just get that other card and not have to spend 3 mana to draw into it. Okay. So now we are on the Chrome Prowler turn to hit with Eye of Malcator. Actually, I can just do the bridge and then Chrome Prowler during their turn. Oh no, Metalwork is expensive again. Wait, maybe... I was going to say, now that I think of it, because of that... because of Metalwork being more expensive when Eye is active or when Eye is dead, maybe we don't want to be attacking just because they could trade here if they sack their Candy Trail and Centurion, but that'd be a 2-for-1, right? We're getting rid of their creature and we're getting rid of their 1 piece of card draw. So it would still be probably in our favor, but we'd be a little sad. Again, with Mightstone and Weakstone coming up, we can cast Colossus, period. Even if Eye of Malcator dies, so I probably shouldn't worry about it. It would just be a lot cooler. I guess, no, the curve out's insane though, right? Does this enter untapped? This enters untapped. Okay. Never mind. We're definitely keeping Eye of Malcator. Because we can Mightstone and Weakstone and Metalwork Colossus in the same turn, because Metalwork Colossus is going to cost 2 mana. Oh no, it's not, because Eye of Malcator is going to trigger. It's not a May ability. Shoot. Oh, we're so close to casting Metalwork Colossus in the same turn as Mightstone, but because Eye of Malcator animates itself, I can't cast Metalwork Colossus while it only costs 2. Like, this is going to get animated before we have priority to cast another sorcery speed card. Alright, well, it's still the play, and we just beat down for 4. It's just slightly less cool. I'm holding full control mode just in case I somehow really don't understand the rules and I actually can do what I want, but I'm fairly certain this is animated before I have priority to cast a spell. Yeah, because this is instant speed stuff. I'd need an instant speed Metalwork Colossus to do the thing. I've got Research Desk for card draw and Chromatic Star, so let's just cash in the removal on the potential 4/4. Yeah, see, Colossus costs 2, but I can't cast it right now. I gotta wait for this to resolve, and when this resolves, it costs 5. Fair enough. Well, I can play my Research Desk. I could play and sack the Research Desk, but I just want to play Colossus next turn. Well, Colossus is only going to cost 2 mana next turn, so I can play Colossus and something else. Let's actually crack this. 2 mana for Colossus off of Mightstone, Weakstone. I'll have 5 mana up for other stuff. Take anything that costs 5 less? Oh, Immobilizer's perfect. Because I can cast Immobilizer, and it basically costs me nothing, because it's going to reduce Colossus's mana by 4, and then we just cast Colossus for free. Well, never mind. I keep forgetting about the Eye of Malcator Nombo. It's going to reduce Colossus's cost by 1 additional mana, because now we'll have a 4 mana non-creature artifact instead of a 3 mana non-creature artifact. But Eye of Malcator will be a creature again. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 mana. 2 for this. 4 for Immobilizer, 1 for Colossus. I believe we can do all of this because this reduces Colossus's cost by 1 more than Eye of Malcator does. Yeah, 1 mana floating, use that 1 mana for Metalwork Colossus. Obviously we start with Captain Storm so we get all the counters. The gang's all here. 1 mana 10/10. Want to tap on the aggressive here? Not really. So I can tap 2 of their creatures if I wait till their turn. Tap 1 during their turn, untap, tap another one for my next swing. So I'd rather have like a double tap coming up for when I'm trying to get a 10/10 in. All right, we've got a double tap set up. There's the Unearth to do some digging. Feel like I don't tap anybody right now. Because if I'm tapping Scrapwork Mud, it's not going to be a blocker anyway. And if I tap Lannery Storm, like, I'm just stopping it from attacking. But if it attacks, it's not going to block anyway. The scrapwork mutt literally just gets exiled in the end step, so no matter what I do, it's not going to block. All right, there's the concession. They can't get enough blockers. They know we can just tap 2 of their blockers and send in for like 17. And we start things off 2-0, 2 Metalwork Colossus victories. As I said during the deck building, our deck's going to be pretty awkward if we don't draw into one of our big synergy rare things, but that's 2 games we hit the Metalwork Colossus and did the thing. See if we can keep it up heading into game 3. All right, here we are for game 3. This time we can try to do Goblin Engineer value things. We'd have double Goblin Engineer off the blade. The Engineer can search for the Metalwork Colossus if I draw into enough non-creature artifacts that looks like it'll be cheap enough later. But I will have to sacrifice 2 of them to put it in my hand. I feel like I just Engineer for an Unearther first, but I might Blade an Engineer. Although with Chromatic Star on board, actually, we just put the best 3 mana or less artifact in the deck in the grave, right? Turn an artifact mana value 3 or less from engraved to the battlefield. Yeah. What is the best one? Eye of Malcator? Maybe Arcbound Tracker? Neither of those work with Blade of Shared Souls. But I can Blade the Engineer instead. Yeah, let's go Eye of Malcator. Sure, we'll Chromatic Star back the Eye next turn, if they don't kill Goblin Engineer. Seems like a solid turn. Yep. And then that gives me a considerable amount of non-creature artifact mana value. Chrome Prowler? Well, now the Eye of Malcator looks even better. It's instant speed too, right? Yep. It only costs 1 mana to pick up the Eye. So I could do the 4 mana thing, where I can pick up an Eye at instant speed and Chrome Prowler in the same turn and try to get a big blowout going. But I would have to Blade this turn if I'm not Engineering this turn. Guess I will. I don't know what I'm grabbing off this one, though. Oh, I can't tutor off this one. It doesn't enter the battlefield as a copy of the creature. So it's just a backup Engineer. Shoot. It's not as good as a just clone a creature I control thing. Because it doesn't get the enter the battlefield trigger. Well, dang. So we can't set up the Metalwork Colossus off of that one. And now they do have an opportunity to kill our Goblin Engineer and stop us from doing the thing. God dang it. And say, unless they have exactly removal there, it's better to just keep the 2/2, because otherwise I don't have any good blocks. So I think it is better to just hold back the 2/2, but yeah, now we might just die. Now we've got no action, no Goblin Engineer value. Yeah, that was a misplay last turn. Just because I didn't realize that the blade didn't hit enter the battlefield effects. Obviously, the way it's worded, it wouldn't, but when a card has like 10 lines of text, you tend to shortcut. So we obviously should have just Goblin Engineered back the Eye of Malcator last turn, even though we could have had the Chrome Prowler combo thing later. But I thought I'd have double Engineer triggers. Kind of feel like I might have to Obliterating Bolt and Infiltrator. Just awkward when they have Steelseeker on board to grind out a lot of value. No, I think I still just hit the Steelseeker. At this point, I need to draw into something. We do not have enough action to do anything here. Mountain is not anything. Yeah, that Eye of Malcator reanimate would have been pivotal too, because I think we would have scryed 2 lands to the bottom off of it. Yep. Just the Drowning Iker. Disgusting. Incredible card is incredible. Rich Scale Tusker gonna just destroy us here. But Chrome Prowler stops all of the damage for the turn. Can't afford to Reality Heist, we'll just die. I technically should have tapped Infiltrator. It's slightly more likely the Infiltrator gets bigger than the Tusker. Well, hello there. The tiniest shot in the world. I don't think I can afford the Reality Heist after this. Yeah, it's for each artifact, not for the mana values, so I guess it doesn't matter. Actually hit the Infiltrator, because that one could get bigger with its built-in ability. Vat of Rebirth, okay. That's a pretty big miss for our opponent. That's going to take a very long time before it does something. So that's really helpful. That's a chumper, if nothing else. Now we can do 3 mana Reality Heist. Eye of Malcator for Scry, Research Desk for Draw. It's better than Bone Splitter for sure. What are we going to get to play next turn? Hard Evidence or Slasher? Be full on chump block mode or have some amount of beef? Yeah, it could be a 5/5 against the Tusker. I think that is a very relevant amount of beef. They draw into a Gaia's Gift, we're just dead, because they give Hexproof in response to the Immobilizer, and then they have Trample for the rest of the turn. Okay. The 5 mana up. I can dig with Research Desk again, or I can cast Eye of Malcator. Probably cast Eye of Malcator. And scry before we do the draw stuff. Alright, 5/6. Casting a 5/6 next turn, and then I can Blade and make one of these a 5/6. I could Blade right now and make Slasher a 6/6 that deals 2 to any target when it dies, but I feel like retaining the modular ability is better. So we just trade and put all the counters on Mirror instead. I don't actually know. It's pretty dang close. If it's a 6/6 and they have no tricks, then they just can't even attack in, which is decent. Sure. Guess we'll lose that on modular. Because I guess either of these ends with us having a 6/6 Perilous Mirror. It's just that this way we have a 6/6 Perilous Mirror and a 1/1 Perilous Mirror. but they keep the Tusker. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty nebulous. Bloomhulk with nothing to proliferate. You love to see that. Just a 4/4. Okay. Research desk first. And trigger that Eye of Malcator. There's a crewmate to look for our bomb. And more importantly, just get us more blockers immediately. Okay, well that isn't the bomb, but they are powerful cards. All three of these would be really good options. I think Untethered Express is the worst of the options because we want creatures that can chump block. But Captain Storm isn't that great either without any cards in hand. I think I'm actually on Scrapwork Mutt. But we're just not casting it yet. Anyway. So I'm just going to cast Gearseeker Serpent. In which case I spend the extra 2 so that I can actually attack in. But then this is only holding back as a 5/5, but that's fine. Yeah, let's actually get an attack in this turn with the one creature that can't block. Wait, what? Does that not... Does Blade of Shared Souls not supersede Eye of Malcator? So Eye of Malcator makes itself a 4/4 for Phyrexian Eye till end of turn, but then Blade makes it a copy of another creature. I guess Eye of Malcator's 4/4 Phyrexian Eye thing just overrides Blade's power toughness change? That's weird. Alright, well, I guess we weren't getting an attack in either way then. Strange. Well, now we know. Still leaves us with just as good blocks. Oh, wait! Oh, it overrides the rest of the Eye of Malcator text for the future, though. It doesn't fall back off. Okay, no, that was better. Blade's really good with Eye of Malcator. Oh my god. Alright, well, that's now 2 interactions in a row from that I had no idea how they would work. One of them worked poorly for us, but the other worked good. If they draw another Sweet Tooth Witch, we're dead. So if this Vat of Rebirth gets to 4, we're dead. They just bring back Sweet Tooth Witch, put us to 0. Oh no. No, Annihilating Glare, that's a counter on Vat. Sack the Food is a counter on Vat. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. We need to kill them fast now. Got 2 out of 4 Vat counters. An Arcbound Tracker. Shoot, I want to draw my Metalwork Colossus, but I definitely don't want to discard Arcbound Tracker. Oh no. Oh no. 6 mana for unblockability. Most of our mana will cast 1 spell for the turn. It's worth it, though, to get in without triggering Vat at all. They're on a 4-turn clock. They got 4 turns to get this Vat of Rebirth to go pop off, to be active. Probably more like a 3-turn clock, because we can go wide for the last swing. In fact, if they draw dead here, if they draw basic, we might be able to kill them next turn, because we can tap one of the blockers. They only have a 4/4. They block 5, take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Man. Really now? Ward pay 7. God dang it. 7 power lifelink. Okay. Well, we die. Oh. that's so sad. No attacking into a 7 power lifelinker either. God, it's got menace too, so I chump with 2 creatures and they gain 7 each time. I guess I could double block and kill it, but then Vat of Rebirth kills me. So they bring back the Sweet Tooth Witch. Hey, there's our friend. 0 mana, but I don't know, maybe it'll convince them not to attack. That could be a thing. $18. Oh shoot, I tapped out of unblockable mana. I was 1 mana off from doing all of the things. Dang. Yet again, if Rebirth activates, we're dead. So I can't afford to kill any creatures off of this attack. Which means we don't attack at all. Yeah, maybe our opponent will just not attack. Maybe they don't remember the Sweet Tooth Witch, and they don't know that Rebirth activating would kill us. Yeah, they're not attacking, so... Okay. I wonder... I have enough mana... it's so risky to try it here. I was going to say, I have enough mana to try this out, where I can make this so it can't be blocked this turn, and then, like, move the blade over and back and try to make it a 10/10 that can't be blocked this turn, but then... Oh, it wouldn't work out anyway, because it would just be an Eye of Malcator once the blade's no longer on it. Yeah, I can't afford to unequip this ever, because I just lose my unblockable creature. And I can't attack in with anything that is blockable, because if they block, they've out of Rebirth, Sweet Tooth Witch, and we die. Now, I think we're getting somewhat close to attacking all and finding lethal. Okay, if I just kill 1 creature, Vat is out at 3 out of 4 counters, which doesn't kill me, but then if they make a food token or treasure token, I die. But if I just chump this with like a Perilous Mirror and a 0/3, they're at 20 anyway. And like, we just ain't getting lethal at that point. So I feel like I need to kill the Flesh Gorger. I guess they're going to be at 20 either way. It's just that if I don't kill it now, they get to keep sending it in and making me sack 2 creatures and just gaining the life anyway. Oh, I'm going to play around them having a food or a treasure here. Let's just do this and try to lethal on the crackback. I get to shoot them in the face for 2 and then play a... Or sorry, let's do this, actually. I get to unearth the Scrapwork Mutt. Actually, blocking with Perilous Mirror might technically be a tiny bit more damage, because if I attack with it later, they just let it through and it's only 1, but this way it's 2 damage by blocking with it. Yeah, I feel like they wouldn't like not attack with it last turn and then do attack with it this turn unless they drew like a food token or a treasure token. That would be the 4th counter on Vat. I don't know if we can get 18, but we can try. It's a land. Okay, maybe it wasn't. So if I immobilizer the Tusker, they chump block Bloomhulk and take 4, 5, 6 plus 10, 16? 17, 18 off Mutt, right? Chump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 10, that's 16. 17, 18, yeah. Let's see. Exactsies? Exactsies or we die to like instant speed removal. Oh, I should have moved the... If I moved the blade, this would be well over lethal. Shoot, yeah, I really should have done that. Because I have an artifact hitting the board and I have more than enough mana, that might have been a punt. Well, it was a punt. We'll just see if it's a punt that costs us the game or not. Oh my god. Oh, it was so close. We almost threw that one in the garbage bin. All right, so the play there was definitely move the blade to the crab and have another 10-10. And then, now that there's an Eye of Malcator sitting here, we unearth the Scrapwork Mutt. And then that would be considerably more damage coming in. This would be a 10-10 setting, and this would still be 4 damage instead of 5, so instead of hitting for 5 total, we'd be hitting for 14 off of these two. That's way more likely to be lethal. That was a very sloppy line. Yeah, I gotta consider these blade combos a little more heavily. Wild game. I'm so surprised we got there. They probably had a lot of outs. Obviously, the onboard one was to reanimate Sweet Tooth Witch, and then we die. So I'm really glad we could play around that enough to keep the VAT from 4 counters. So if they drew anything that sacked the creature, drew some cards, made a treasure, VAT would be active and we'd just be dead. If they drew just a second copy of Sweet Tooth Witch or anything, we'd be dead. And I'm sure they had a few cards like that, so really lucky game there, really close one, but we get yet another victory here. Finding that Metalwork Colossus late in the game? Well, he was late, but he arrived, and that was good enough. We are 3-0 heading into Game 4. All right, here we are on the play for Game 4. What a curve here. Let's keep that for sure. We might want to just crack Chromatic Star turn 2 to try to draw land. The only real reason to keep it around is like if we draw into Metalwork Colossus, it'll be 1 mana cheaper. We basically never need the fixing in this deck. Although there's the 3rd land, so I'll just keep it for now. It's always essentially free to crack it. Oh, I'm glad I kept it, because there's our boy. There's our friend. We're going to reduce the cost by 6 more. Metalwork's going to cost 4 mana. So we just need to draw 1 more land here. Evolving Adaptive. Uh-oh. Evolving Adaptive is very, very threatening as the first play. I have Malcator first, because there's nothing good to copy with Blade anyway. And I can scry into some stuff. Okay, I've got the 4th land, so I don't need the 5th. The 5th land would not be bad at all. In worst case scenario, if I do flood out alongside it, I can Scrapwork Mutt it away. Yeah, we're just going to play a Blade as a 2-2 next turn. Just have it around to re-equip with the Metalwork Colossus later. Seems like a decent deal. Yeah, the only reason to top deck this island would be I could play Blade and Research Desk in the same turn if I crack the Star. But if I crack the Star, that's the same cost reduction on Colossus either way, so it doesn't matter. And we'll keep it for the Mutt later if we flood. And if not, it's fine to have more mana. Ooh, Confectioner does some crazy stuff. This is one of the non-draftable cards in like theme boosters or something. And when they sack foods, they keep getting rats. Yeah, really good if you have sacrifice stuff you want to try to combo off with. Okay, here's Blade to make Metalwork Colossus cost 4. What happens if I make the Rebel an Eye of Malcator? It dies or something, right? Something really weird happens if I try to do that. Because then this is equipping something that isn't a creature anymore, which means that this falls off, and then that becomes a 2-2 anyway. That would be... Does it just unequip if I do that? This turns into Eye of Malcator for a second, then can't be equipped, so this falls off, then just goes back to being a 2-2 Rebel. I want to do it for science so bad, but it's so bad for me if the Rebel dies. Sure, let's do it. Whatever. Yeah, it just falls off. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Well, now we know. I need Metalwork Colossus to cost 4 mana, so I'm not going to attack here. Because if they double block, that's really bad for me. They're not super likely to, but just in case. That's so funny. It falls off. Okay, I need to not play Research Desk, because then Eye of Malcator becomes a creature. I have to just play Metalwork Colossus before anything else. It's probably not even that good in this matchup, because they are black, and they can just blow it up with one spell. But I actually have the expendable artifacts this game. I can just sack a Chromatic Star and a Research Desk for like an Unearthed Mud or something and be really happy to bring it back from grave. I still don't love the Eye of Malcator trades here. But if we kill Confectioner before they sack any foods, it's probably worth it. But we've got 5 lands on board, so even if Colossus costs a little bit more, we should be able to afford it by the time we pick it up. If they kill it. And again, that's only if they kill it. If they don't kill it, then we can throw this Eye of Malcator in the trash. That's fine. If they pacify it or exile it, that is where we're going to have some serious issues. All right, cool. Goodbye, Confectioner. They've got basically one turn to do it. If they don't, then our 2/2 is going to be a 10/10 as well. Actually, our 2/1. Be better to put it on the weaker card. Hamlet Glutton, that doesn't kill it. Let's go. So now we just do Blade combo where we keep making our smallest creature a 10/10 and sending it in. Ooh, I can play 2 spells this turn. I don't get to do the card draw off Scrapwork Mud anymore, but it is... shoot. I was going to say it's worth it, and then I remembered that I'm trying to do Blade. It's probably not worth not attacking with a 10/10, so let's attack with a 10/10. I think I will still cast it just without the double spell. Another artifact to sacrifice if our first Colossus dies. Botanical Brawler. Alright, +1/+1 counter synergies pop off with that thing. It gets +1/+1 counters whenever you're putting counters anywhere else. So I can get really big. It's gonna have to become a 10/10 real quick though. Can't cast 2 spells this turn. Could put the Blade on the tracker and have a 12/12 attacker, but I think I need to. I guess I might be able to cast 2 spells if I Research Desk it up. Yeah. See what we find. Slasher or Eye of Malcator, so we can't cast 2 spells this turn. We just take a Slasher to cast next turn, I think. Yeah, just take that, but we just play a Mobilizer for the turn. I don't think I'm going to use it in combat. I could like a Mobilizer down the Glutton and make their blocks really bad for our 10/10, but I can just move the Blade over if this Colossus sticks around, and if it doesn't stick around, I do have the fodder to pick it up from grave anyway. Yeah, so they are just going to chump block here, so it's just better to post-combat Immobilizer if their plan is to chump block, because then I get to immobilize 2 things. I tap something in their end step and tap something during my turn. I guess I could still do that if I played it pre-combat, but no reason to reveal it if I'm not using it at the time anyway. Alright, our opponent's over it. Multiple Metalwork Colossuses is not okay with them, and as long as they can't exile the Colossus, it is an infinite supply of them. We would be in a slightly hard position if they killed this. In terms of like recasting it, it would be slightly difficult, because we would have to sack an actual creature. We'd sack like Tracker and Chromatic Star to put it back in hand. I guess I've got the research desk engraved now, so I could sack that after unearthing it. But if I wanted to do that next turn, I wouldn't be casting the slasher that I exiled, so... Yeah, if they had the right kind of removal, well, any kind of removal right there, then it would have been hard to pick up the glosses, but they still had to deal with another one at the very least, so... I'm going to imagine they had no removal if they are conceding there. So, once again, things played out a lot better than I thought they would. Thought they'd have a lot of removal, and we saw basically none, so we just get to go crazy with the big old 10-10, and we are now 4-0. An above average positive win rate run, no matter where things go from here. All right, here we are on the draw for game 5. This is a pretty decent hand. The blade's just going to be a 3-mana 2/2 yet again, but as we've seen, you don't actually need a ton of value off of the initial cast, as long as you have big creatures to move it around later. And we've got the Gear Seeker Serpent, if nothing else. Oh no. We have lost the game. Steel Overseer, you have to kill it the second it shows up, or it wins. And so it has won, because we don't get to kill it till turn 5. And they have modular creatures to go with it, which is egregiously bad for us. Ooh, wow, yeah, the Mouser's already a 3/3 lifelink. What? Alright. We're officially still in the game. I lied. I do have to top deck lands basically every turn, so is it worth the Scry, not the Surveil this turn, to not have any blockers up? Because I can Eye of Malcator into Chrome Prowler, I think I can afford to do that, but if I couldn't, then probably not. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. That is actually a really bad combination of cards, because we really don't want the Metalwork Colossus on the bottom of our deck when we have the Mightstone and Weakstone in hand, but we also don't have time to not hit lands. Oh, what's the plan here? I go Bridge, Chrome Prowler on blocks next turn. Turn 4, I then have to Blade as just a 2/2. No, I could Gear Seeker Serpent. Hold on, I could Gear Seeker Serpent turn 4 instead, because this is an artifact land, and I'll have another artifact from Chrome Prowler. Oh, this is a gamble, but I don't think I can put Metalwork Colossus on the bottom. But we might just die for that. Oh yeah, they curve out with a 4/4 here. We could very well just die for that. They're green-whites, they could have some nasty combat tricks here. Oh boy, Bone Splitter. But they would have to be a combat trick, that just already makes it much worse blocks for us. Unless they put it on Witchstalker. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Just gonna let that through anyway. I think it's better to kill Revolutionary and Mouser than it is to just stop all the damage this turn. Let's just get 2 kills. Oh. Well. I guess we just trade Eye into Witchstalker then, if that's the play. They're not free kills anymore, but we're killing the Gigantic Trampler, so I'll take it. Unless they have a combat trick, in which case I think they would have sent the whole team in. Alright. We already knew what our curve was going to be, so here it is. And we hope this stabilizes long enough to hit a land off the top for Mightstone, Weakstone. If we can get to the Mightstone, Weakstone, I think we can win. We clear out their best creature, and then we have the setup to cast Metalwork Colossus the turn after that. If we miss a land drop here, but they don't have removal for Gear Seeker Serpent, we're still in an incredible position, because we can play a Blade and have 2 5/6s down. Yeah, this is fine. Alright. Starting to feel stable here. And here we go. Oh my god, I get to actually do the thing where I cast Colossus in the same turn this time. I get to actually do that. Oh, that's so wild. It might have been better to draw 2 here, actually. I'll just get that thing out of the way. They get their 1+1/+1 counter instead of if I kill one of these and they get 2. No matter what I kill, they move counters somewhere. But this one, I kill a 3/3 and they move 1+1/+1 counter. So that's better than killing a 1/1 and giving them 1 counter. Or killing one of these and giving them 2. Hey, look who it is. It's our best friend. The Metalwork Colossus. Just give our fake 5/6 the hookup and send it in now that we got 3 other blockers. Just hold this thing up as a blocker, I think. I should have moved Blade to be a 10/10 rather than going research desk time here, but they only have 8 toughness. I think I still want 3 blockers at 10 life. Our board states are just... when we stabilize and flip the corner, our board states are just so monumentally large that losing on slight amounts of blade damage has just not mattered, luckily. Because if it did, I think we would be losing quite a few more games than we have so far, because I have not been getting maximum damage from this blade nonsense. Okay, our blocks are already fantastic. Well, not against a 6/6. Yeah. I guess we set up the blocks then. There's the blocks. Let's see what I get to cast next turn. A crab. Hey, a crab is another 10/10, eventually. The clue token's valuable too. If they manage to kill the first Colossus, we can crack the clue and a bone splitter to pick it up. Ooh, they exiled the fake Colossus. That is way better for me than if they exiled the real one. Because the real one can come back from grave. 9? That's a double block. They're at 20 now, and they're dead. Now I blade and hit for 25. Yep. There's the concession. We are now 5-0. We've gone on an undefeated win streak all the way to being in the money here, leaving the event with more gems than it costs to enter at 1,600 as the prize out. Super sweet draft. It's a very goofy, very fun deck here that has been consistently winning in very unconventional ways. Just because it's got the rares to be able to cast these kinds of spells you don't get to do too often, so this has been pretty fun. Alright, we got that Mightstone and Weakstone curve if we can find the Metalwork Colossus and we can scry a little bit closer to him. One of these games, he's going to be the literal bottom card of our deck and we'll lose very handedly, but until then, we're going to have a great time and we're going to keep this win streak going. Explorer's Cache with no creatures on board yet. Constantly puts +1/+1 counters on board, so it's great later, but for now, doesn't do anything. Alright, I find a Metalwork Colossus in a land. Okay. I do need 5 mana, so I'll keep both of these. We need the untapped land first, so I can play one of our several 4-drops. I might start with Untethered Express. I guess it really depends on what they play here. I probably will. Yeah, I don't need to Mightstone Weakstone turn 5. Oh yeah, I'll definitely start Untethered Express if they're not playing a creature. And that way we're attacking with it on turn 5. As long as I make sure I don't make my blade a copy of the crab, then we'll be crewing and attacking with Untethered Express. If I misclick though, things are gonna be bad. 2 crabs and nothing to crew an Untethered Express. Alright, this attacks as a 5/5, so we are golden. No. By 1 crewer? How will I ride the crazy train? So we're really going off the rails now. Take 6, go down to 14? No. That's a solid draw. Because now we can crew again. We can also have 2 5/6s. One of which is not summoning sick. Oh my god, Blade is so much better than I gave it credit for. Yeah, our opponent just scoops them up. This is actually... I don't know if I'd go so far as to say a bomb rare, because you need the beef alongside it, but for like this deck with Gear Seeker and Metalwork Colossus type stuff, like... The fact that we could just turn our crab into a 5/6 the second that we top deck the Gear Seeker because it's so cheap to cast, right? That's what it is, really, is that it's not that Blade is always insane or anything. It's that it's just so good in this deck because we have specifically really big creatures that are very cheap to cast, so that we have the mana to be like, here's a 3 mana 5/6, and I can use my leftover 2 mana to turn this into a 5/6 as well. So it's only busted because Gearseeker Serpent is busted and because Metalwork Colossus is busted in this deck. But it is really good in this exact build. And it's probably better in other builds than I was giving it credit for, at the very least. I don't know if I'll go so far as to say it's like a bomber, you should pack one, pick one, you should put it in everything. But when you have the tools to work with it, it plays so much better than I even imagined it would. We are now 6-0, by the way, completely undefeated with, I would say, one of our most fun decks in the format, but honestly, I've liked most of the decks that we've drafted. I think all the different archetypes and strategies have been pretty fun, but definitely one of the more unique decks. We haven't been playing a lot of 10-10s that often, so we'll see. See if we can't get a 7-win run here as we head into the final boss with 2 extra rounds in the chamber after this if we manage to fail somehow. This is an incredible spot to be heading into that final battle. All right, here we are on the play for the final boss.
We are unstoppable.
Another follow over on Twitch. Thank you very much for that. That's what it means whenever you hear a Johnny talking, because I use the same program to record and stream, so those are the sound alerts for the live streams. All right, here's a staunch crewmate. Finds our Blade with the Gearseeker Serpent in hand. I think Blade's a little better than I have Malcator. We have the Wombo combo. Not the Wombo combo. That ain't Falco. Not quite. But a pretty good combo. The Wombo combo is the Metalwork Colossus with it. That's slightly bigger. But Blade Gearseeker is still pretty good. Byway Courier. I'm kind of tempted to try to keep playing more... Oh, I can't even cast this anyway. Never mind. I was going to say, I'm kind of tempted to keep just casting more artifacts before we play the Serpent to try to get us to a position where we can play the Serpent and make something else a copy of it in the same turn. So they can't just like kill it before we can swap copies. Although I guess the issue with that is I can't like re-equip the same Rebel to turn it into Gear Seeker Serpent. So I'd have to like crew the Express and make the Express a Gear Seeker. And it might be okay. Epic confrontation here. It's a little annoying. They might just be looking around. At least Epic confrontation doesn't kill any of our artifacts to make Gear Seeker uncastable. I just expected a fight spell because they kept looking back and forth between Courier and the 2/2. Like they were trying to target both of them. Argothian Sprites. Well, luckily we have the Gear Seeker Serpent and not the Metalwork Colossus, because the Gear Seeker can actually block that. What is the Epic Confrontation? It just took a little while. Sure. I'll threaten to trade on blocks and see if they still want to send in, but we might be able to stop the damage by crewing here. Nope. Alright, I don't actually want to block. I lied. It's Eye of Malcator. Okay, I don't think I can afford to wait on Gear Seeker Serpent at this point. I think if they just have more removal, they've got it. Yeah, and I don't see a point to not attacking with Untethered Express. Well, no, there is a point, and that's that I have a 5/6 blocker up. Yeah, our deck can win the long game. Never mind. I was gonna say, I don't see a point to leaving Untethered Express as a blocker, but the fact that Gear Seeker is not a blocker if I crew it is a problem. No, combat trick still. Yikes. Well, then I guess we get the Untethered Express hosed instead of the Gear Seeker. Or they might just be like, okay, this trade's fine and save the combat trick for later. Yeah, this is kind of bad for us either way. I can't really not block, though. I'm at 15 now. If I keep taking 4 every turn, that's going to add up really quick. Could you imagine that was like the next level play and they had no tricks in hand? They were just like, they'll never block with the 5/6. I don't think I know any players crazy enough to make that attack without a trick in hand. There we go. Red source is tremendously important. This Goblin Engineer is going to be a big deal. I don't actually know what it's going to pick up, but we've got the stuff to sack to it for sure. I hit for 7, they hit for 5, I hit for 7, they hit for 5. They definitely win the race, but that's on board. We know they have some kind of trick in hand. We've got an eye for another 4/4 attacking in. I'm gonna go for it here. Like, we've got 4 power haste, we've got 4 extra power they didn't know about. We can turn a 1/2 into another 5/6. We have a lot of deceptively threatening stuff coming really quickly. Ooh, and if they're spending mana not impacting the board, just like spending mana on clues and stuff, makes it slightly more likely we can win a race. Perilous Mirror's a tiny bit annoying. As a chumper here. Chump and deal 2 to me is kind of a big deal. They kind of have to chump, though. Then I can have a 5/6 blocker up post-combat. Shoot, I can't trigger the blade if I play Goblin Engineer here. Well, can I? No, I don't have an Unearth card that's cheap enough. I don't have the red for the Scrapwork mutt, so if I want a Goblin Engineer, I'm not playing an artifact and I have Malcator isn't attacking. It's actually a huge downside. So it might just be 5/5 slasher pre-combat. Means less haste, which is not cool, but... Yeah, I can't afford to haste this and send the whole board in, can I? Then they're forced into a chump. They put me to 7, they have 3, 4, 5, they have 6, 7, because they just activate the sprite and I'm dead. No, I need a chump. Not a chump, but I need a block. Period. So we make that block the slasher. Okay. Basically I have to lethal us here, or we'll lethal them the turn after this. They need something that kills our slasher and gets 2 extra damage in. It's like destroy a creature, deal 2 to your opponent type thing. Whatever it is, on average it's gotta be 2 spells. I don't think there's a lot of cards that would just be a single spell that would kill us here. The active treasons would, obviously. Ariat's Tempting Apple. Well, I literally can't block the other one, so we block the patrol. We're down to 5. Can they deal 5? Vengeful Rebel, they can finish off the slasher. That is a very big deal, actually. Now a Savvy Hunter. Okay, Chrome Prowler is definitely interesting. It's the only way to play an artifact this turn and attack with the Eye of Malcator. I hit for 11 if I do that. They could just not block and then kill me on the crackback. I'd have 2 blockers up. Yeah, the odds of dying on the crackback are somewhat high. I feel like the surprise blocks are just too huge to not just offer the trade here. Okay, they don't take the trade, they take the damage, which means they're dead to Serpent next turn with unblockability. Well, I need data land for it, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Colossus would cost 4 mana. If I sacrifice Chrome Prowler, Bone Splitter would cost 5. I guess that's the cheapest I could do. It's cute. I think we have to just grab Unearth, though, right? The pace of the game does not dictate that I can toy around sacking stuff and playing a, like, 5 mana artifact. Just need immediate hasty impact. This makes a food whenever it attacks or blocks. Is it worth Chrome Prowlering before they declare an attack? So they don't have food to eat? Maybe. Oh, wow. That was a good draw. I mean, they didn't necessarily draw that off of the clue. Yeah, that is really good. It's now dead on board. If I wait till they attack, I kill Savvy Hunter and Rebel and take 2, go to 3. They have a single 3/2 on blocks. And they die to Unearth Scrapwork, make it a Serpent. No, they don't die to that because they gain 3 from the Savvy Hunter food. I think I have to do this pre-attacks, which makes it harder to kill them next turn, but I can still kill them off of top deck land. I think I have to do this now. So they can't get food. They can still send in the Sprite. Okay, they're over it. They are over it. We were 1 mana off from the lethal crack back there. But I don't know if our opponent knew that. And we are 7-0. This was an undefeated run. Let me look again. That can't be true. That can't be accurate. I've only had 5 and 6-win runs these last few drafts. No, it is. It's 7-0, full undefeated. All right, well, this was a really fun one. I very much enjoyed today's draft, and obviously it's hard not to have fun when you get a 7-win undefeated run. You don't lose a single game of Magic, but this was a particularly fun deck. Metalwork Colossus was a card I saw flying around a lot, just being like, I just really don't know how good that is. Feels really hard to cast it for cheap, and it's often just going to get got by an exile or pacifism effect, but luckily enough, we just hit good matchups for it, and our deck was very well built to make this thing super cheap. The fact that we got to have the Mightstone and Weakstone alongside it was really nice, because any game we had both of these together, that was an excellent combo for getting it on the board very easily. Yeah, this was a super fun deck with a lot of specific, narrow, strange little synergies like that, like the Blade with these multiple really big creatures that we could cast for cheap, the Gearseeker and the Colossus, both excellent cards to use the Blade with, just turning crabs into giant cards or 2/2 rebels into giant cards, stuff like that. Engineer was a bit of an underperformer, but that was self-imposed. We had a big punt with that early, where I thought that Blade would copy the Enter the Battlefield effect, but it didn't, so I just shouldn't have played Blade that turn. I should have just gotten my value out of the Engineer before they killed it, and that game would have went a lot better. I mean, we still won, but it would have been a lot easier to get there. So Goblin Engineer was a bit of an underperformer, but for the most part, that was my fault. Blade of Shared Souls was a huge overperformer, and that was despite my plays. There were many times we missed out on some more points of damage off of this because I just forgot about moving that thing around, and it was still absolutely incredible in this deck. So cool to see the biggest over and underperformers both being rares this time as well. And yeah, Goblin Engineer, again, I think it's a pretty great card in the format, especially you can get more Unearthed than this deck had. So I don't want to say that it's an underperformer in that you shouldn't take it particularly highly, or you shouldn't take it as highly as I did. I just think I played with it pretty poorly for the most part. Like, tutor out the wrong thing, don't get the value out of it immediately so that if it does die to removal, it's done basically nothing. Just little stuff like that. I didn't play with it well. But the Blade, I didn't play with that well either, and it was still absolutely insane for us, luckily. So, sweet deck. Crazy stuff, unique stuff is the key here, and a really, really fun draft of the Remix Draft Artifacts format. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.